What's up, y'all? Welcome to Straight to the Bag, the show that helps fighters secure financial freedom. Today, we got a super special guest. So, she's like used to train with me, but every time I've had a conversation with her, she's helped me level up somehow in my business. And obviously, like, you have to put the action behind the advice, but her advice has always been spot on, and she's a huge action taker. So, I know her advice is going to help y'all a lot. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell them, I guess, just what Nona's life is like, Nona's life is like now and today.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my name is Nona. I have lived in Columbus for a while. I'm from Quantico, Virginia. It's a Marine Corps base. So I always like to say that to people because when people ask me like why I'm like structured or organized, I definitely root it back to that. But where my life's at now, I own a salon in Grandview, so Columbus, Ohio, and I have an amazing team of people. I actually co-own it, so that's kind of cool. But I work 4 days is what I tell people, but I'm usually there 5 or 6. And don't say used to train. I'm gonna pop back in. It's not a
She's
past
gonna come
tense.
back.
Definitely. I get in these seasons of things and I've just like now realized that I need to communicate better. Like I feel like I'm always like, oh yeah, let's do this and I want to do it for a long time. But I am the kind of person that I want to do something for 3 months and I'm over it.
Yeah.
And then I got to come back in like a few months.
Yeah.
And I don't think people communicate that. Do they?
They don't. No, they don't. But you actually communicate it well. I feel like you're pretty thorough.
Because I
Like,
always feel bad. I'm gonna like hurt someone's feelings.
no,
But
I don't. My feelings are not hurt.
yeah. But yeah, so I think boxing's been fun. Definitely want to pop back in.
So, what is your life been like for, I guess, the past few years? Like, you just started this salon, or you had it for a while?
Yeah, so I started doing hair in 2009, and I graduated from hair school, and basically, like, that was like not the route that I was going to go. But graduated from hair school, and then I started working at like a large salon because, like, when I started doing hair, there wasn't very many options. I feel like. So I kind of felt like I just wanted to work at the best salon and be amazing there. And I really thought that was the max of my journey. I started working there and I realized I did not fit in very quickly.
How did you figure that out?
I got fired. So it's actually the only job I've ever gotten fired from. So that was a great start to my career. And then I had a non-compete contract. So that was a year long. So I worked at some like not great salon for a year, so I didn't get sued. That was really hard. I actually went through like a lot of like depression, and I really took that tough. Like it was really hard getting fired.
So what does that non-compete clause do?
So basically, like the one that I was under was you can't work 18 miles from every salon you worked at, and the way they set it up is they basically, I was an assistant, so they make you work at a bunch of salons all around Columbus, so that way it takes you out of working out of the city. Does that make sense?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I basically could not work anywhere in the
different
city.
Locations?
Yeah. They have probably 10 if I'm going off the top of my head. Dang. So yeah, that was tough. So I didn't. So I got fired there. I worked at a crap salon for a year, and then oddly enough, I was getting married. It was 2012, and I was getting married that year. And actually, technically, it was 2011 going into 2012. And my dad basically was like, my contract was up. I had gotten approached to work at Salon Lofts, which is just like an independent salon. You run your own business in a little loft.
Right.
And I told my dad about it, and he was like, let me go to your interview and we'll talk about it and see if this is a fit for you. So I went, and we didn't even finish like, I don't know, it's called an interview, but it's just basically where they feel you out, you feel them out, see if it's a fit.
And it's just the person that's running the space to you, right?
Yeah. And so, because basically if like you don't have like a clientele or a personality, or if they don't think it's going to be a fit, like they won't offer you the rent. Like the position to rent from there.
Right.
So my dad went, because I was like 21 years old, and like, of course I bring my dad because I don't know what else to do. So I brought him, and my dad's really business savvy. So I brought him, and then he stopped the interview and was like, okay, you're signing up. This is what you're going to do. Didn't give me an option. And honestly, I just was like, okay, like, I don't really know what else to do.
Wow.
So I signed up, and then my dad gave me his credit card, and he said, buy whatever you need to get running here.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and I thought my dad was just paying for it. And I found out at the end of the month that I had a statement that I had to pay. So I bought a Ferrari blow dryer, and that was very expensive.
Jeez.
So, but yeah, so then I worked there for like, I don't know, probably like 8 to 10 years, and then decided I had some assistants there, and it was actually amazing. I loved working at Salon Lofts. But then my business was growing, and I was growing out of there, and how much rent I was paying, I decided to do my own thing.
That's crazy. Let's take it all the way back. So did you like always come from a business background, or?
So actually, I think we dabbled about this conversation before. I definitely come from an interesting background.
Yeah.
My dad was in the Marine Corps. My parents were married until I was 2, and long story short, they split up, and my mom left, and my parents moved back to Ohio, I'm sorry. And then my mom left, went back to DC area. And so I lived there, and my mom just didn't make any money. And my dad like just wanted me to be like successful. And I was living in a trailer park, and my dad felt like the opportunity that I would have like wouldn't be that high.
Yeah.
So
this is when you were with your mom, or?
Yeah, when I lived with my mom.
Okay.
So then my dad fought for like 5 years to get custody of me.
Okay.
Like 3 to 5 years, and then finally got custody. I moved to Ohio. Okay. And my parents like put me in private school. I didn't even know how to like use silverware. I didn't like, there were a lot of like basic things that like normal kids would know, like rules, and I just didn't have that. And so there was a lot of like retraining for me. So went to private school, and then I focused on art, and I thought I was going to be a like art professor or something, fine arts in that realm, either that or attorney. I focused all of my high school towards that, and I got like 30,000 in scholarships to go to art school. And then the week I graduated, my parents, it was 2009, the market had just crashed, and the economy was bad. So obviously like going to school for art isn't like,
doesn't make sense,
something you want to do in 2009.
Right.
So my dad basically said, hey, like we want you to rethink this, and we want you to like go somewhere where you can pay in cash. So I had worked a ton through high school because my parents made me pay for like everything that I had. And at the time I was frustrated because like I felt like my parents had plenty of money to give me
to help you, and they didn't.
And they didn't. So I feel like I missed out on a lot of things in school. But I'm really like grateful I did it because I feel like now looking back, like I have so much discipline from that. And my parents own a real estate business, and so like, I worked on that growing up, like on the rental properties. And so I feel like I've just like built a lot of discipline, and now like the success in my life isn't random because of like all that back work. But anyway, so graduated high school, and then I had, I think, $8,000, and I negotiated with the hair school that I went to. Basically, like if I put $8,000 down, like could I do monthly payments so I could pay my school in cash? Because my parents weren't going to sign for a loan.
That's
and
crazy.
It was really tough. So I went to hair school, and I chose hair school just because it was like $16,000, and it was artistic, and I felt like I could be like more of like my personality. Like I just never saw myself wearing like not tennis shoes and crop tops. So so I went to school, and then I was obviously pretty decent at it, and I was passionate. While I was in school, I would go to school till 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Then I would go to work. I worked at Steak and Shake, which was a very humbling job.
I worked the whole time you were in,
hair school. Yeah. I worked the whole time. And so I would work till like 4 in the morning. I would go straight to Steak and Shake, and then I'd work till 4 in the morning. And then I would go back to school at like 8 to 10 a.m., just depending.
How long did you do this for?
School, I graduated within a year because I was like not going to like prolong that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because some people make it like a 2-year thing, and that was not for me. So then I did that. And then, so when I graduated, my school was paid off in cash. And while I was in school, my parents actually, it was like one of the best things that they've had me do was they had me take my money and start investing it when I turned 18.
Okay.
So basically, like half of my paychecks they took and put it in an investment account.
From Steak and Shake?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was only making like, I remember working at Steak and Shake, I made $24,000. And which like isn't a lot of money when you're
Yeah.
like investing it and paying for school and your
Right.
cell phone bill and whatever else you're going to do with your
Yeah,
life.
I mean, that's pretty much everything at that point.
Yeah. So, but oddly enough, like it didn't really bother me. I felt like I still had like a lot of money. Like it's just
Really?
funny how like,
Are
when
you
I say
like,
more money, more problems.
you feel like you're frugal?
Oh yeah. Like I definitely like, I don't know if like frugal was the word. I never lived like a luxury life. So like being frugal
I
when like
see
you
what
haven't
mean.
lived luxury, like,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
I
It's just
feel
normal.
like I did what I wanted to do. And if I wanted more, I worked more.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And that was, you think they got that mindset from your parents like telling you, or you just like going out to work and seeing that you had to do that?
I think because my parents never gave me anything,
Okay.
like in the sense of like monetary.
Right.
Like my parents did a lot for me, but I knew that like I couldn't ask them like, hey, I want to go do this. Can you pay for this? So I knew if I like really wanted to do something, like I was going to have to figure it out for myself. So, I mean, because there were a couple of times like I was worried about paying my school payment because I also had a trainer like in the gym.
Okay.
So I paid $300 a month for that, which is a lot of money when you're like making no money, you know?
Yeah, I don't.
So
Yeah.
I don't know how
Especially
I don't know how I did it.
24,000. Well, I mean, technically like 12,000.
Yeah. But like, you know, you didn't eat out. You didn't like, I didn't have fancy clothes. I shopped at thrift stores. Like I didn't have fancy purses. My vacation, I remember, was like, we saved up all of our change, like any change we found on the ground. And our vacation was $600 at Myrtle Beach. Where like, you know, like your vacations now, like you go and like people put it on a credit card or which no, you know, no judgment, but it's like your vacations now are like, oh, we're going to Bahamas for the week, not Myrtle Beach for 4 days, you know?
And that was with your dad? Or that was just you?
Oh, when I went on vacation?
Like, yeah.
I went with my husband, but at the time he was my, we actually got engaged that weekend. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I got engaged at like 19 years old.
Dang.
Yeah. So.
How long have y'all known each other?
We've known each other since we were like 15.
Been together since then?
Yeah. Yep.
Dang.
Crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah. So that's actually like, I think that's something that helped me as well is that I always had like, I moved out young. So I had a spouse that like split the bills with. Like I knew he wasn't going to be a flaky roommate. Like, you know, he paid his end of the bills. I paid mine. I didn't have a credit card. Yeah.
He's going through all this with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like a lot of people don't get married till like later in life. And so that makes it kind of challenging. Like when you're trying to like get ahead because especially if you're only making 24,000, you're living on your own. Like that's tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so graduated school. And it's funny because like at first I was like, I always thought I was going to be a professor or an attorney or whatever. And at first I would get embarrassed to tell people like I do hair because I feel like as a female, like we want to like, I want to like tell people like what they can do with being females. Like we can do anything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so like being in a career where like we get judged on like how intelligent we are, like, I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of female hairdressers say some funny things, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I was very like adamant in the beginning of like trying to preach like what I did and talking about my job. Trying to convince people into like this is like a big thing. And like, you know, now you realize in life, like I don't really care like, you know what, I know how much money I make. I know I have investments. I know like, so now like I just tell people like I sell shampoo for a living. If you want to judge me on that, go for it. But
I like that. Though.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's a big part because like when you're like that young adult age, you like do things because you care what people think.
Yeah.
Then you just like get older and then you really don't care. And you realize none of that stuff matters.
Yeah.
So you like graduated hair school, and then you went to, that's when you started working at that salon.
Yep.
And then got fired.
Yep.
Now you're at Salon Lofts. I mean, 8 to 10 years, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you have a plan? Like, did you know, like, when I'm at Salon Lofts, my plan is to be owning my own salon or doing all this? Like,
definitely. When I went to Salon Lofts, I I had like a goal. Like ever since I started doing hair, I was like, I want to make 6 figures in 5 years, and that was my goal, or at least bring in 6 figures.
That was when you graduated hair school.
When I started working at Pen Zones, that's when I set that goal.
Okay.
So I was like, once I get my chair, I want to make 6 figures in 5 years, because I knew like no one was really doing that. Most people were doing like 50,000, like, you know what I mean?
That's what most hairdressers were doing back then?
At like a higher end salon.
Okay.
Like they were probably at 50,000 by 5 years. So,
jeez.
When I started my own business, I just basically sat down and like did the numbers for myself and figured out like, if I take this many people, I can make this amount. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one thing I did, it's kind of funny listening to your interview with your barber. He did a lot of similar things that I did that I was like, oh, I respect that.
Like what?
Like I think he said he passed out like stuff with his name on and a coupon. Didn't he say that?
And he had he was giving out free haircuts.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. Okay. So I did something similar. I actually I lived kind of in this area, and I passed out 50% off coupons with a picture of me and like my prices. Yeah. And I went and like, which is actually illegal. I put them in people's mailboxes. So didn't know that. But I basically printed out 200 of them, and I put them in Chase Bank. I put them like everywhere. I put them in gyms.
Did that work for you?
Yeah. So out of 200 that I passed out, I got 13 people, which I thought was a really high percentage. Yeah. And so my thought was, even if I got 5 people, I had no clients when I started Salon Lofts. I had 0 clients.
Dang. So you don't have to show proof of like income, or like you already have a clientele base?
They wanted to like, they said like I need to show like clientele, but I think that my personality, like just kind of, they knew it would work.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So then I started, so I still have like 1 or 2 clients from those advertisements, and that's like 10 years ago.
That's crazy.
Which is like insane. Like, so I'm really like appreciative for those people. But yeah, so I passed it out, and I think my first year doing hair, I did, I think it was like, I posted it the other day, like 14,000.
This was your first year at Salon Lofts?
Yeah, Salon Lofts. I did 14,000. No, just what I brought in.
Gross.
So like, I brought in $14,000. I made nothing, with the rent. But I did 14,000, and then I still worked at Steak and Shake. So what was embarrassing?
That's how you were surviving.
Yes. So I would like go to Steak and Shake, and then I'd go to work, and then like my clients would be at Steak and Shake. Do you know like what a humbling moment that is? Like to serve someone fries, and then like, oh, I'm gonna do your hair, and I need to act like I'm professional.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you feel like they actually thought that, or was that just like something you were feeling?
Oh, I mean, they had to have thought that. I'm sure. Like, I mean, but I didn't even care, because it's like, if you're gonna shit on someone's grind,
that is
like
true.
Literally, like fuck off. You know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly.
Like shit on my grind now, catch me in 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So so second year, I'm just going off the cuff of like what I remember. I think I did like about 40,000. The next year I did about 50. There were 3 years where I only increased by like 8 to 10,000. But it was like 50, and then 78, and then I hit. I'm 90% positive I hit the 100,000 at my 5-year mark, and then from 5 to 6 years, it was something like that. Like I went from 100,000 to 180,000, and I went from 180,000 to 240,000, and then COVID hit. Like, and I'm just kind of going off rough estimate of years. COVID hit. My business went all the way to like I think 150,000. I went from my highest year of like over 200 grand to 150 grand.
Jeez.
And then this past year, I'll be just almost at 300,000.
That's crazy.
If not, I think I probably hit it.
Why do you think that it was consistently growing every year?
I think my understanding of people really helped. My understanding of people, goals, and business, I think it's a trifecta, right?
Yeah.
So you have to, like, you can know numbers, you can know business, but if you don't know people, you don't know retention, right?
Right, because then they won't come back to you because they don't trust you. Or
yeah, and I think everything is about, like, obviously, like, I do great hair, but a lot of people do great hair.
Yeah,
so I think that sets myself apart from the person next door. And I think for me, it's I care about people.
Right.
I want people to be successful. I have this innate drive to like want you to do well in whatever, like, just like you,
That's
like
100% true.
like I want to, and I'm not saying this for clout. It's genuinely who I am. It's of my being. Like, I would sit with someone for an hour and talk about whatever I can to help them grow, whatever that means mentally, physically, like monetary, because I just want success for people. And so I think because it's so real, like people read real, like you know what I mean?
100%.
Like people seek out fake, but people seek out real first.
Yeah,
so
and I think people can sense it.
Totally. So I think like my clients, my friends, like all the people that come to me, I think they're like my biggest advocates because they know like my heart is with them. I care about them. Like if they go to me or if they don't, I still like have love for them. And I think that that's the driving force to retention for me. And then I am like obviously talented, so I can back that. And then my understanding of numbers, basically like the way I set it up was when I started doing hair, I targeted a certain group of market where, so for example, fitness. I have a lot of fitness clients. I have a lot of fitness influencers. And the reason why is I was training when I was in hair school. I worked out with a bunch of bodybuilders. I got in that niche, and then I was at the right time in the right place. Instagram took off. And then I had done a couple people like at random. They were really happy. They knew I was committed to them. And then those people started talking to their friends and sending their influencers. And because it's such a small town, like in Columbus, those people started sending. And so then it just became a thing.
So it spread fast. After that.
And so then I think because I targeted a small market, like a lot of people knew my name really fast. And so I think that really helped like grow our business and then be able to funnel like clients to my employees and all that.
Did you feel like targeting that niche or like that market was like your goal, or goal was like to find influencers and things like that, or are you just like, this is a space I'm already in and I
didn't
like
really
it?
care to find influencers. That naturally happened, but then once that naturally happened, I was like, oh, this is making my job easier because I don't really have to post. I don't really have to like.
It's so powerful. To have one.
So like it was really nice to allow that to like naturally happen. But yeah, and I think before I started getting a lot of influencers, I was a national educator for a company, and so I traveled a lot, and I think that helped build my brand, and so it made me like look a very certain way on social media.
Made you seem like way bigger.
Yeah, and I think that that's the power of influence and the power of like branding is so important nowadays when you're building your own business and building clientele. Because I hate to say it, but people buy into it, right?
Yeah,
like when they say sex sells, like branding sells. So
oh, for sure. I think that's why like even off-market deals for like Nike and stuff like that are going through the roof, and it's just because people like more people care about it.
Totally.
Was that something you were like always aware of starting out, like branding and stuff like that?
I think like I feel like just like knowing what's cool, like knowing what's in, like, and having a drive to just want to make money. Like I think those are the two things. I think a lot of people can know what's cool, but then to have the drive to put yourself out there and humble yourself, because to send a message, I mean, I've done so much free hair, like your barber, so much free hair, and I think like doing like events, and I did a lot of like charity events and things like that. I think doing things like that, I knew that my brand would put itself out there, and I knew I'd look like bigger than what I was before.
Because now you have the time to do charity events.
Yeah, I had all the time in the world, you know, where like now, like I'm so busy, I don't like, so, yeah, I think it's really just knowing, just like, I really just think it's a grind. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you?
I think it is for sure. I think I make decisions now based off of like what feels right. I don't even know how to explain it. I haven't found a good way to like verbalize it, but like if something feels like it could benefit more people, then I would definitely do it. Or if I feel like I can help someone in any way, I don't really even think about it coming back to me because I don't know how it's going to come back to me. I just know like someone's going to feel better after I do this for them.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like what, law of attraction?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like what you're working off of.
Yeah.
Like I totally think that. But I I guess like my thing is like where they say like I feel like so many people are so afraid to put themselves out there and like and just like continue like when they fall down to like get back up. And I know that's like so oversaid, but like it's so true.
It is.
Do you know how many times like I like literally had like no money in my bank account? I remember I screenshot like my bank account like 5 years ago, and I'm like, fuck this. Like I will never see like $6 in my account again.
I've done
like
that so many times.
you know?
Yeah, and I've like screenshotted like when I started getting credit cards. I've always been like good with my credit cards,
Yeah.
but when I started having a family, this was recently, and I was like, I think I was like $16,000 in credit card debt.
Oh, I believe it.
And I was just like, I had no idea where it came from, and I didn't even have close to enough to pay it off.
Yeah.
And you know that interest rate is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that kept me going. But I don't.
Totally.
I mean, I have different reasons that keep me going every time. But
yeah,
it definitely sucks. But like, what kept you going? Was it like the love for hair, or like you just knew you were gonna make it? You just had to keep going. Like,
yeah, I think I look at everything as like an opportunity and like an investment into something else. So like debt for me doesn't scare me because I mean, at this point, I'm probably the highest debt I've ever been, but I'm also the highest income I've ever been. So I think a lot of people they're afraid to take risks because like the higher the risk, like, you know, like the more trouble you can get yourself in, but also the higher the reward.
Right.
So, and I think people have to look at it in the sense of like, okay, I'm going to take on this debt, but if I'm making, for example, $300,000, but I'm $20,000 in debt, $20,000 is nothing because if you're making 300,000, or let me say bringing in 300,000, you're making 20,000 a month.
Yeah.
So if you technically wanted to pay that 20,000 in debt off, you could really like stay focused. Growing up, I did Dave Ramsey. My parents talked to me a lot about that. We're just paying cash for everything. And so anyway, if you really wanted to, you could probably pay $20,000 off if you're making $300,000 in less than 6 months easy, right? Yeah, exactly. So I think like my drive for things is, I feel like I'm like kind of similar to how you are. Like, I don't know, sometimes I get to a point where I hit all my goals and I don't know necessarily where I want to go with it because I'm happy and I'm content. I want more, but I'm not going to force anything. So I feel like I will take it on when it's necessary or something comes up where I'm like, you know what, this is good. Like right now I have 2 employees. If you would have asked me 8 years ago, I never wanted to open up a salon. I never wanted to like, but then I found like, if I had an assistant who could help me, I could be home more with my kids. Like, you know what I mean? And if I did this, so I think it's just like organically like happening where I thought I was fine being at Salon Lofts. And I realized like my life is changing and evolving. Like
regardless.
Yeah. So like obviously the goals to be better are always like there. But I think as your life evolves, your goals should always like be like ever changing, evolving and you know, so I think like right now the future for me is I just want to be around like awesome people that are happy and that want to fill my cup up. I'm at a place where I'm fine with like the money I'm making. If I make more, great. If I don't, great. But if I have a future assistant, then amazing. But it has to fit the mold. I'm not going to force anything. I don't want. I always tell people like I'm not gonna like if you don't want to be here, like I don't want you to be here. You know what I mean?
And that's,
I mean, you know the power of like who you're around. Like,
yeah, for sure. And I used to, actually, that's funny. I was just talking to Sin about this, and we were saying how like there were certain people we were around that were like, okay, we love them, like they're good people, and we don't want to like let them go. So like we're like we'll just work harder and like it won't interfere with us too much. But then like a year later, we're just like almost halfway between where we were and where they are, and like. That law of those 5 people you keep around you is like ridiculously powerful. Oh God, yeah. And you would say financially free?
Financially free? I don't think there's financial freedom.
What's your opinion on that?
But that's okay. I think that like something my parents like really talked to me and enforced in me is what other people are doing in life, do the exact opposite. Like, so being that like that one person that's like trailblazing, and then everyone else is like going here. So for example, we talked about a little bit Dave Ramsey and paying for cash. So in my younger years before my business, I didn't have credit cards, and I bought my cars in cash. And anyway, eventually that only lasts for so long. You have to get a credit card. I mean, unless you've just made it. But yeah, so it's really hard because I feel like, especially in my industry, like it's really easy to do things like for clout or
because it looks good.
Yeah, it looks good. Like
that's like I mean, that's pretty much what doing hair is, like making it look good.
Yeah, and like hair people are usually a little over the top and loud, and like even like I feel like in the community of my family, like I feel like my mom, like I'd pick my mom up from the airport and she'd be like, "Oh, you're not driving a Mercedes," and I was like, okay.
Your mom's
my real mom, yeah, my Filipino. But like you know how that is.
If you're Asian, you know. I don't have to explain it, but if you don't,
if you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So like but real quick, it's like I don't even know how to explain it. Like a lot of Vietnamese people are kind of like this. They like the shiny stuff, but it's also because they came from nothing.
Totally. And the opportunity of America is so great. And I think that's like what drives a lot of like minority, like especially like I know your parents own a business, like and I feel like it really drives for us, like we want to do well and our parents really want us to do well because like my family back home lives in a fort that doesn't even have windows. It's like a cutout. So
that's crazy.
Like, yeah, but it's funny because like, you know, you go to the houses and like as soon as you open the door, it's like gold, like everywhere. Like, and they have their Mercedes pulling up. But no, my dad always wanted me. My dad's American. He's white, and so I drive a Kia Sportage. It cost me $10,000. It's ugly. It's red, not my ideal color. But I mean, at the time when I needed a car. I was in a place with my business where I was growing so much. I wanted all of my money in my business to go to my business. And I didn't want, like, I didn't know how much payments are, like, because I had paid cash for everything car wise. And like, I know girls are driving like Range Rovers, no offense, like amazing. I'm glad you do. Right. But those payments are like $1,100 a month.
That is insane. That is somebody's, that's more than most people's rent. Like,
and like, maybe at some point, maybe if I'm a millionaire, then I'm like, okay, great, I'm gonna have a Range Rover. But me right now, like, I travel a lot. I want to have a lot of flexible income, and so I think it's
put your money towards that.
Totally. So I think it's super important, and like you know, with this next generation, I have Coco. I know you have a daughter. Is like really teaching them like what is the value of money for you. For me, like. I've made some irresponsible choices, and I don't think a lot of people put light on that. You want to talk about like the successes of life, like like my income's growing and doing this, but I've made like really dumb like choices, impulsive choices,
a lot,
and I hate that for me. And so, so I think like having my daughter, she's a year old. I've been like trying to center myself and like really focus on like, what kind of person do I want her to be? How do I want her to value money? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
so you think that's like you're gonna control that by telling them, like, or teaching her?
I think like actions, right?
Yeah.
So I think like, you know, for example, driving like a modest car, like, and you know, I'm sure later on in life she's gonna be like, oh, why don't we have this or why don't we have that? It's a natural question. And I think it's like it's good to be like, you know, I would rather do this. Not put down other people for what they have, but letting them know we have the opportunity and the choice, and I choose this because this is the life I want to live.
Do you think you got that mindset and like discipline from your dad, or what
totally?
Do you think
I think that my dad is very. I think he's like for the most part really responsible, and he doesn't care about what people think. My dad's the kind of person that goes to a high-end restaurant, spends $1,000 at dinner, but shows up in paint on his pants, holes on them, and one shorts. Like, you know what I mean? Like
that's funny. I can relate.
Yeah.
Like
it's just not impressive to me.
Yeah.
Like it's cool. Like if you have something cool, like it's cool, but it's like not something I'm not gonna flush my account for it.
Yeah. I think that's big. That's because my mom was like that too. So I can everything I hear is just like it feels like a mirror. But like I'll go places, and even when I like even with Sin, she's just like, why are you wearing holes with socks with holes? And I'm just like, no one's gonna see it. Like it doesn't matter to me.
It's easy to get caught up. I really try not to. Sometimes I do, but I think it's just like as long as you have like a where you keep reevaluating yourself and you keep readdressing yourself. Like, what am I doing? Am I growing like spiritually? Am I growing like financially, business? Like, just keep having those conversations with yourself, because we're not perfect. And I think it's just a matter of like, how do we move forward?
Do you think that mindset was always with you when you were going through all this grind of like the first 3 years? And
I think it's like maturity. I think it's like after like you've like made mistakes, and you know, like my husband, he's very responsible, and I'm like, I'm not as, even though I have like money, like I have like retirement money and things like that. My day-to-day money I'm crazy with, and so I think my husband like having to check me and telling me like, I don't know who you think you are, like, you know what I mean? So I think that the maturity of like, of making a ton of mistakes, and then like, because, you know, with us, like, if we don't have money to like pay our bills, it's so easy to like pick up a client and then be like, oh, I'm gonna work a little more today, where a lot of people don't have that opportunity. And so it lets us like spend crazy because we can make crazy money. So I think that's a big check on like, because I feel like right now what's so popular are everyone's wanting to be an entrepreneur. But I hate to say this, but like, I'm sorry, if you're working 20 hours a week, you're not an entrepreneur, that's a hobby. Like truly. Sure. So I want to level out like all these young people that think that they're calling themselves entrepreneurs, because that's shit. Put in the grind.
There's so much that needs to be done in a business that like, there's no way you should only have 20 hours of work to do. Like if you put in the time and then you eventually get to working 20 hours, good for you. But like, it just cracks me up, like this whole entrepreneur movement, which I'm obviously an entrepreneur. I love it. You're an entrepreneur. But I'm sick of like these, like, I feel like it's a lot of younger people that social media made it cool.
I hate it.
How did you you never struggled with like thinking like that?
Like
your
what?
mindset, like when I start making some decent money and I'm just gonna like chill out, like.
So my work ethic is my number one, what is the word? Strength, and my number one weakness.
Why do you say it's a weakness?
Oh, it's like, I don't drink, I don't like do anything like crazy, but I'll tell you, work is like so addicting for me. And before having kids, I would work 100 hours a week. And
that is crazy.
Because like not all I cared about, but a large force of what I cared about was making money. Because I wanted to make money to have what I want, do what I want, live whatever I want, because that's just how I was. And it's addicting to like be able to make $30,000 in a month. Like,
for sure.
It's addicting to be able to go in and buy, like, go into Louis Vuitton, buy your purse, like cash, because you worked for it. But here's the thing, the caveat is, what do you give up for that lifestyle? You know, you either give up, you're going to be in debt because you're going to put it on a credit card, or you're going to give up because you're going to work all the time and you're going to work your life away. And like, that's one thing with, you know, growing up with my mom, like we live in a trailer park. She worked all the time just to be able to pay, like, to live in a trailer park, because she didn't have like a degree or anything. And it was a reality check for me when I realized how much of life I was missing out on. So I think my work ethic, like, yes, I love my work ethic. Everyone, if someone was to describe me, they would say I work hard. But I hate it because it's something I have to check myself all the time, because I love to work and I love to make money. And it's something you're born with. I think you're either you're a workhorse, or you're living, or you're lazy. You know, is that bad?
No, I don't know if it's something you're born with, but I think being born with it is very
with this
possible.
kind of addiction.
With your level,
This is. I mean, because like, what was the first thing you said when I walked in? Are you always at this level? The first thing we're talking about, business. Like, let's talk about it. Let's figure out how's your business. What are we doing? Like,
she's like thinking I'm thinking the same direction.
Yes.
She's just going like boom, boom, boom. I'm like, you get tired.
It's an addiction. It's an addiction that is. It's great most of the time. But
I see what you mean.
My husband definitely has to say, no, like, you need to be home.
And is he like you, or is he?
No, he's a normal person. He he works 40 hours, leaves at Friday, like, and is totally okay with checking out.
Risk adverse.
I want to pour in other people's cup. Like, I want to make a lot of money, but like, back to that saying of like, I care so much about people and I want so much for people that if you call me, you need in, like, I'm gonna make it happen. And it's just who I am.
You were born like that, or you feel like your parents like that?
Always like that. Because like, I'm a yes person. You know, you want something, let's do it. We can do anything.
I've always wondered. I was actually thinking about that today when I was working out. I was just like, I didn't know if it was because I was raised by women that I'm like, very caring about how other people feel, and like that's why getting clients for me was hard at first, because I like when I feel that uncomfortableness from them, I like automatically want to give up space for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Were you always like that stuff was easy for you, or what was the hardest part of business for you?
Hardest part of business?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I think setting boundaries is the hardest thing.
Like with your time and your energy and stuff like that?
Yeah, because because I'm addicted to it, I just don't have boundaries, and
You're just like, let's do it.
Yeah, but having kids, I think, helps change that, because you know, watching my parents like work so much and like miss out on certain things in my life like really affected me. So now, like I'm not like tarnished by it. I'm fine, but it's just truly something that like I'm not going to do. Like I'm not going to do it.
That's funny. That's exactly why I started being in business, just because I wanted to level up, and I always felt like I had that addiction as well. Like I just have to be doing something. Like if I'm sitting there all day, I might be depressed the next day just because I feel like I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I have kids, I'm giving them all my time, because my mom was the same. She was working all day and my dad wasn't there, so I was just like, this is terrible. Like I was literally locked up in a room, like, and I just like would find things to do. But so I guess, where are you going now? Like, you have a pretty good life, and do you have any big goals, or are you just kind of going with the flow?
My husband's been doing a little bit of investing in crypto, so I'm hoping that figures itself out.
Letting him figure that one out, or?
Yeah, I don't have energy for it. I don't care. Like genuinely.
Yeah.
I am working on. Eventually, I'd like to expand my business. I don't really like care to invest a lot of energy and time into like figuring that out yet, because I'm in a really good place. But I just want to work. Eventually, I'd like to work 3 days a week and do things with Coco. I want to travel more, and I want to like do hobbies consistently. And I just want to be debt free. I really that's all I care about right now.
Yeah.
So my focus, I don't have like, normally you ask me and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this, but nope, I want to financially be in like a really great place.
Yeah.
Because if I want to like pick up and move and leave, I can do that.
You want the freedom to be able to make that decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's huge, because that's like a big thing. That's what I really mean by like financial freedom, is like being able to make the choices, and any choice that you want to make, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously, like, I know some people are like, I don't want to be obsessed with money and things like that, but it has so much. To me, it's like one of the most powerful tools you can have. Like, and to me, it's like, if you really love the people that you say you love, like, and you have the ability to get a tool that can give the people that you love like a life they love, then like, why wouldn't you?
I think money is like great. I think it opens a lot of doors, but I think like if your heart is with money, it has to be with giving. Right. So if you have drive and power for money, you have to have drive and power for giving. Because
did you figure that one out, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think my family is very giving people, and we spent a lot of time like going to like oh my God, homeless shelters, and I, as a kid, like used to like start drives to like raise food for like families in the community and whatever. And it's been so important to me to like always give back, because I feel like I'm so lucky and so blessed to like not only have like a mind that is like working, and like I feel it's like so elevated because of my parents, and then but then like, you know, I have money and I have a house and I have a car, like that's so much further than like so many people like in other countries. And so I think it's like we're really like declining and not being assets to the world if we're not like thinking about how we can give back. So I think that's something like super important that I really try to like do for people. Like even if you're not monetarily like giving, like, hey, like, I know you need help, here's $100. It's a matter of like, just with like, you know, your business, you're starting your business. So I know like you're trying to grow. So for me, it was so important to like try to drive you in clients and talk so well of you, not only because I think you're a good person, but I know that like I give to you, like that energy is going to come back to me, and like, and why not? We're only here for so long, so the power of giving, it's number one for me.
Just to wrap it up, I guess, what are your 3 best tips for like someone that was where you were when you first started at Salon Lofts, and you could go back and talk to her?
Yeah, my 3 best tips would be, number 1, don't sweat the small stuff, right? Like don't sweat the small stuff. Like, who cares what someone says about you? Who cares what someone thinks about you? Like, life doesn't matter. Like, life's going to go on with or without you. So just understanding the bigger picture. That's like my number 1 tip. My second tip would be, everyone's like going to say no, and that's okay, because like eventually there's going to be yes. So continuing to like keep doing like what you need to do, that's going to fulfill your heart, it's going to fulfill your financials, it's going to give you that all-around world that you want. So I think just like keep on keeping on is definitely my second tip. And then my third tip, eat the cake. Like, eat the dessert. Like, live your life, do the responsible things, but like go on the vacation you wanted to go on, spend the money you want to spend within reason, but like choose life.
I love that. I love that last one, because I think it's like enjoying the process.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 tips for y'all. And I am big on y'all taking notes and stuff, and then because in 1, it helps y'all retain it, and then 2, you're putting it into action more likely than you just listening to this podcast and then forgetting about it. And a big reason I'm really doing this podcast is not just the future monetary reasons, but more because the impact and growth I know it will give people. Like for me, my life was changed through podcasts. And I think if I discovered them earlier, I would be in a completely different place. And if I was putting in things into action earlier that I knew before and was just letting things go in one ear and not the other, then yeah, my life would be completely different. But yeah, on that note, take what you learned today, apply it to your life, and come back to me with what y'all have accomplished, because I really want to know. And again, this podcast is about impact. So, all right, well, I appreciate y'all's time. Peace out.